Hey guys, it's Chris here from Chris's Creative Life, and I design workshops that help you create beautiful projects from start to finish with easy to follow guides. And a few weeks ago, I posted a time lapse of creating the fun background on this card, and everybody really liked it. So I thought I would come back on and we're going to create the background. I'm going to talk a little bit about why I did it, and then recreate the card. So just give me 1 second here. So when I posted the preview photo today too, I thought it was very interesting because somebody said, oh, I really like the color combination. That color combination of like the brown and pink has always been a favorite of mine. I don't know what it is about that, but it really kind of really appeals to me. And then I think when you're talking about coffee, you kind of can't even help but think about having brown in there somewhere, right? So that's how the whole thing started. So just give me 1 second here. I'm just going to share it over into my classroom, the video, and we can get started. So I have cut the pieces, and we're going to create it exactly the same way I did the first time. So just let me put you down on my desk here. Okay, so this is the first thing I wanted to talk to you about. So when you look here, you've seen me do this before. This is the typical stamping sheets that I do. And so this is always how kind of like an idea starts, and that is exactly from playing with this is how I ended up creating my other sheet. So okay, so move some of the stuff out of my way. Okay, so I typically cut out an 8.5 by 11 because I throw these all in a binder when I'm done, and I just kind of play with things with the stamp. It's always fun to kind of figure out how it looks colored, how it doesn't look good colored, some of those things. And so I typically always do that in the beginning. So, like you can play with watercolors or markers or watercolor pencil crayons, all of those fun things just to kind of get a feel for the stamp set. So this background is just random stamping, but not really random. And I took all the cup images from the stamp set and then the little heart. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to grab my Versamat, and because I'm creating a background and I'm probably going to run over my piece of paper, I'm just going to throw my all-purpose mat down here on top of the spongy side of my Versamat. Instead of just grabbing a scrap piece of paper, I'm just going to do that. Okay, so this is what we're going to create right here. So as far as inks, I have stamped the cup because I did that beforehand because I'm going to color it with intense black. Okay, so I can color it and not worry about it. Then for my background here, I have espresso and flamingo. So I'm going to stamp all the cups in espresso, and then I'm going to stamp the little hearts with flamingo. And then for the background here, I'm actually going to use ballerina. And then the two stamp sets that I've pulled out is Coffee Helps, and then the brush strokes, which has lots of fun little paint splotches and things like that. But there's also these little tiny sweet sentiments. So I'm going to use the happy birthday on my card. So then the other thing I wanted to show you is just the pieces that I have here. So I'm going to add a really skinny piece of wood grain paper. And actually, hey, I realized I don't have a card base, so I'll get that in 1 second. Hey, Cass. I have a piece of ballerina. So my wood grain is the 4 by 5 1/4. So I just wanted kind of like just a little tiny border peeking out of that fun wood. So I'm going to use my light side of ballerina, and I've cut that like 1/8 of an inch smaller. I have my coffee cup, like I said. I have a piece from the rose gold paper pack and a piece from the Noteworthy paper pack. So I'm kind of just playing with a lot of the papers from the annual. And then I have a stitch circle and this funny piece of espresso cardstock. And I knew I kind of wanted to be able to have my sentiment on a circle and then something to border it. So I'm going to show you. Sorry, my nose is so itchy. My allergies are just like crazy. So this is actually how I got that border and my stitch circle. Was I actually used the Circle Windows slim line thin cut. So when you cut it out, you get this piece. So I cut it out of espresso, and I have this to use on another project. Well, this is the negative space, and it's kind of looks like a reverse scallop almost. So it's got jagged points on it, but it's kind of perfect for the coffee, kind of like a cookie. And then there are stitch circles in this thin cut, so that's where I've got that white piece for my sentiment from. So I just thought I would show you, and then I do have some extras that just in case I need them. But so first thing we're going to do is create our background. I'm just going to grab a card base though. Okay. And then I also added some white sequins. We might jazz it up a little bit. And I did use rose gold shimmer trim. So those are the things I have. So I'm just going to fold my card base, and then we're going to create our fun little background here on, like I said, I did use the light side of ballerina. And so I'm going to add my stamps to the blocks. And I have lots of little blocks because I really like to do this. Because this is, you could use this on a card, obviously. You could use it on a piece for a scrapbooking page. Okay, so I have the little heart, and we're going to stamp all of those flamingo. And then there's a whole bunch of cups. And obviously there's lots of stamps that you could do this exact same technique with. I might have to stand up for the rest of this, but. And you could also add other things in there too from this stamp set. There's the fun little coffee beans. You could also add those in instead of the heart. So I'm just grabbing all of the single cups off of here. You could also, there are these 3 different size coffee cups. If you wanted, you could very easily just trim them out and use them as more cups because they all fit right back together. So the trick to this was not only was I random stamping the coffee cups, I was also constantly turning them. So you'll notice that nothing repeats and kind of they go in all different directions. So this one though, with like the reusable, not reusable, the disposable cup is the biggest image. So that's the one I'm going to start with. And okay. I'm just going to move these pieces out of my way so I don't stamp on top of them. And you can do it a few ways. You can actually use like the same design. I did actually use the coffee beans. Look at that. Look at me talking about that. So I'm going to add those in there too. So they're a nice little one for just tucking into little spaces. So I'm going to add those onto this little block. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with my biggest one, and I am going to stand up. And you can kind of start wherever you want. And then I'm just going to fill it all in. And it does look probably like black on camera, but it is actually espresso. And I loved that all the coffee cups were different shapes and different sizes. So you can just switch them in different directions and kind of fill in all of your space. And like I said, I have my Versamat underneath with the foam side facing up for stamping, and then just my all-purpose mat on top. I'm going to open my Flamingo ink. So I wanted the hearts to really stand out against the ballerina. Because I used the light side of ballerina, I totally could have stamped the hearts also in ballerina because they would show up. But I wanted it to be stronger than the ballerina. So I did Flamingo. And so now it's just a matter of filling in all of your spaces. You could totally, if you want, make a pattern. I didn't, and I just stamped that in the wrong color. So we're going to try and hit right over top. That's what happens when I start talking and I don't pay attention. Okay. So, and I'm going to use the biggest images first and then fill in with the littler images. And I'm just going to keep on turning it. And lots of this gets covered up anyway too, so it doesn't really matter. So, and because they're all different shapes, it kind of makes it really easy to fit the different size cups in the different spaces. See, and I love that this one's kind of on an angle, but then I have like a round cup to go in and fill in some of the spaces with. And I don't even think you have to like coffee to think the card would be cute. Okay, so I'm going to actually add a few beans in. And then I'm going to tuck a few hearts in. And I even turn the heart still too, right? Because it still reads like a heart. So, and I'm sure you have tons of stamps in your stash that you could totally use the same concept with. I just did it again. But because it's clear, I can stamp right over top of it. I love this cup with the little heart on it. It's very sweet. Okay, we're almost done. See, I almost did it again. Now I'm just going to add a few more coffee beans to fill in a few spaces. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to clean these and close my ink so I don't have more accidents. And I'm going to grab my markers for coloring in my coffee cup. And I'll just quickly move these out of the way. I'll wipe my mat. And now I can just pull that all up. There we go. Okay, so I think so. I have brown gray shades and earth brown blend, and we will just quickly color my little disposable coffee cup, and then we can stamp our sentiment and then put it together. So there's not a lot of space on this cup, so I just kind of wanted to add a little bit of shadows to it. So very little coloring. And I just kind of wanted the the sleeve to just kind of match everything else. So that's literally all I did. Okay, so now I will stamp my little sentiment, and then we can put the card together. So I did use ballerina on the background here, just add like the fun little, to bring the sentiment to match the background. So I have my ballerina ink. Here are all my parts. And I used this swatch. And I actually think I stamped it off one time. So we're going to do that. Nope, I did not. That made it too light. So I just gonna add it onto my background here. But with the espresso little dots I did. So I'm going to add the sentiment on first, and then I'm gonna add the little splatters. So I'm gonna add happy birthday, and I did that with espresso. And that's why I needed to clean these blocks. So we'll add the birthday at the bottom. Just like that. And I love the little font of the on this stamp set, the brush strokes. Put it back. And now the happy right above it. It's a nice clean font that's super easy to read. So I have the happy and the birthday lined up on the outer edge there. Okay, so now we're gonna add the little bit of splatter, because I thought that kind of made it look like the coffee cup spilled. So here we go. I'll put the beans back on the stamp set. So I'm just going to add a few on the background here. And I'm going to use like the second generation of espresso, just so that it's a little bit lighter than everything else I have going on. So it just kind of makes it look like you spilled your coffee there. And there we go. So that, I think, is everything. And now we can assemble it. I've got a big, huge mess for not using very many things. So here we go. I have my card base and my wood background. So this is just from the wood grain pack from the annual idea book. And I thought it went nicely with the ballerina and the coffee theme. So then I have our background that we stamped. And we're gonna do it this way. So then I have my piece from the Noteworthy. And on the back side, so one side is whiter tones and the other side is more vintage tones. I did use the whiter tones, but you could totally use the vintage tones too. And then I have this piece with the wonky dots from the rose gold paper. And I'm just going to trim this off on an angle. And I thought that the rose gold just played up the pink theme nicely. So I'm just going to add that here. And then, like I said, I did use the rose gold shimmer trim for a little bit of sparkle. And I just repeated the diagonal angle that I used. I just cut on the rose gold paper. So I'm just gonna add this to my card. Just like that. Leaving a tail so that I can get my shimmer trim off next time. And then I have this layer, which like I said is from that thin cut. And I'm gonna adhere this straight onto my card. And then I'm gonna pop up my sentiment with some foam tape. I just had a little piece of that shimmer trim stuck on my finger. And then I did pop up the coffee cup also on 3D foam. So just like this, and then this is just the thin 3D foam, but on my original I did use the thick 3D foam or thick foam tape. There we go. So that's how that's looking. So on this one, I did use just white sequins, but I think we might use silver. Or we could even pull out some of the iridescent ones from the Wildberry. Let's just see this here. Might be too hard to find them. No, I think we're going to use silver. So I have some glue dots. And I'll just dump a few into my lid. And I think, so I'm gonna pull out the iridescent ones out of the silver mix. So in the silver mix, there's silver, and then there's white, and then there's like an iridescent. So it'll pick up the colors off of the background more so than necessarily the white, right? The white is just looks kind of flat on the card. So the iridescent color, I thought, would pick up the pink background, the pinks and the browns from the background. So I'm just picking a variety of sizes. So I have one big one here. So they kind of, it'll play off of what it's on top of. And I'm just gonna add those. And we're done. So that is a fast and simple little birthday card with lots of fun. Who wouldn't love to get that? And it would be great with like a Starbucks gift card inside it, or some sort of other coffee card from somewhere. Sorry, didn't mean to shake the camera there. So that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Add them to the comments or send me a message. There's never too many good coffee cards is kind of what I figure. So like I said, by just playing around with it, it kind of just triggered the other idea. So always make sure to play with your stamps, try different things that maybe you haven't tried before. Not everything works all the time, but sometimes you just kind of, something just kind of comes together the more you play with the stamps, right? So have a great day, guys, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.